I'm gonna start with Maggie Wolfe and let her introduce herself.
Everybody, I'm Maggie Wolfe. I'm the Director of Adult and Community Education at Kankakee Community College, and I'm also the President of IASA this year.
Congratulations, I think.
I think that too, I think.
And Christina from Rend Lake, I will let you introduce yourself and then the rest of your team.
Okay. Hi, I'm Christina Manchen. I'm the Director of Adult Education at Rend Lake College. Glad to have my cohorts here, and I'll let Gabby and Leigh introduce themselves.
I'm Gabrielle Farner, Dean of Applied Science and Advanced Tech at Rend Lake College.
Hi, good morning. I'm Leigh Dunny. I'm the WIOA Program Manager for ManTraCon.
Good. Thank you, ladies. And so I've got all their names and emails. So when we're done with this and you have a lot of questions, you can just email them and they'll be happy to field all of those emails from all of you. But we wanted to talk. So what Arlene and Eva were talking about were how they have made their collaboration work within multiple core partners and how all of that works that way. But what we also want to show is how, again, these two different programs are doing different things, collaborating internally, externally, and how they're working with different organizations, different parts of the pie. So Maggie, I'm going to start with you. Can you explain some of your collaboration efforts, who you're working with, how that all fits together?
Well, we are very fortunate to have what I think is a unique situation is in that our college is the one-stop provider. So that really allows us to work together and collaborate, and also to share information, at least with Title I and Title II. Of course, we do bring our other partners in, and we do have at least quarterly one-stop meetings. We take time to set the goal for what we want to achieve, like everybody does, and then we work together toward that end. Right now, we're focusing on, well, we have to revisit training for the frontline staff, which we have to do periodically as everybody has turnover, right? And we also are looking at topics like, does the community, we know we're awesome, but does the community know what we're doing? So we're working on that piece. We're also, of course, working on the employers. Do employers know what we're doing as well? So that's where we are right now. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's where we are right now. So
you answered the question, and not with the answer I was expecting, but you did answer the question. So are you working, so you also are over community ed, right? So how are you working some of your IET collaboration pieces?
So what we do is we actually, our workforce board approved use of WIOA funding to pay tuition for people who do not have a high school equivalency, which allows us to partner with those folks to have our students do, we don't call it dual enrollment because those of us in education know that that implies a bunch of different things. We call it co-enrollment. Which, as we know, allows people to do things faster, quicker, and get into the workforce easier. So we collaborate in that regard. Of course, everything has to be approved by the workforce board based on, jobs in the community, availability of employment, et cetera. So we work backwards, right? We all work backwards. What's out there? How do we get people there?
Okay, cool. Thank you. Christina, how does your Rend Lake, what does your Rend Lake partnership look like? You have 3 people.
I do have 3 people. It was awesome. It took a while to get here. I got to say that we've been fortunate in that our workforce board leader is formerly with adult ed, so she understood adult ed students and their unique needs. So that was a plus. And Gabby has been great to come in as our CTE. This year, she's actually doing more to assist with us as we develop them. As far as the workforce board, I think that we have always worked closely. There's not a part that if they ask us to join in, we're willing to do so. We have something or a project that we need, they're always there for us. I just think that it has been a very smooth. WIOA might have forced a little more open and communication and all that, but I think we already had all the pieces in place to do that. So I'm very grateful for them. And Leigh, I don't know if you have, or Gabby, have anything you want to add to our kinship?
I mean, I think on our end, it's kind of a natural fit. Our students, you know, are in the CTE area and stuff like that. They actually do get a little more hands-on, one-on-one time with the instructors and with some of Christina's students. That's exactly what some of them need, is a little more encouragement than some of our traditional students. So I think the partnership for us with adult ed and the CTE world has been a natural fit.
Yeah, and I think, you know, all the pieces fortunately were in place whenever I came into my position. So I'm fortunate to, you know, have people before me that made those strong partnerships. But I do think, you know, we are in frequent communication, and that really is the key to all of it. It's, you know, we are regularly talking and emailing with Christina and others in the adult ed department, and at the end of the day, that's how we figure out what's going on, and we hear about new things coming before they're a surprise to us or to Christina or anyone on her staff. So,
Angela, I'll just add there, one of the things I would encourage new partnerships forming with your LWIBs is to get a hold of your local and regional work plans, because they are, what their plans are have to be in those documents, and they're available on Illinois WorkNet. Now, we were fortunate, we were actually a part of writing the plan, so I knew what was going to be in them. But if you don't know what your workforce plans, goals, and objectives, I mean, we all have the same objectives. So if you can get a hold of those plans and you can read those and find out, oh, here's what they're going to do with incumbent workers, we might be able to help here. Here's what their plans are with working with youth. You know, here's where we may able to be. So that if you need to form that partnership with your LWIB, even if you're not the person sitting on the board, you could go knock on the right door and say, hey, we can help you meet your objectives. We can help you get tied up with the right people to get our students into your programs. The other thing is, even if you're not sitting on the board, there are often many, many committees within the LWIB that perhaps you can join one of the committees. Maybe you can get on the one-stop committee. I know we have a workforce committee. So that's another tie-in. That's just kind of a natural fit for adult ed to be, you know, we are a required partner. So you don't have to go at your workforce board like, well, you have to partner with us, but go in with it of the approach of, look, we can help you meet your goals. We can help you meet your objectives, and here's how. So I think that is one tip that I would really encourage people as you're starting to develop those, if it's brand new, or even if you already have a working relationship, but maybe not with that department that you need, because the workforce board can be big and a little intimidating if you don't know all those acronyms that are flying around.
Thanks. So Maggie, I'm going to ask you this question. How did you form that relationship with your I mean, you said you're in the same are you in the same building or just on the same campus?
It's down in our North Extension campus, and so we had everybody there for a while. Now IDES they're still our partner naturally, but they've moved out of the building.
Okay.
So I have to tell you, we have been struggling with how to make the connection, because we all have different what we can share. So I can share with Title I because we're in the same college, but it's harder to share information with IDES and Voc Rehab because of the PII, right? That they were talking about in the last one. So we have been struggling with that. So I have to say thank you to Arlene and her team, because I'm totally going to take that back to our one stop. So how do we, at the beginning, everybody just came to it because everybody realized it was a good idea. We are kind of struggling now to have everybody at the table, because I think that I don't know why, but the reality is that We all have a part to play and we're all doing the best we can. So we have been struggling this time to bring everybody to the table, to be quite honest.
Okay.
That
Do you
helps. That's the truth.
do you think that is external pressures of just having everyone wearing multiple hats at this point? Or do you think that is like some change in staff, that somebody new has joined that they just don't know? I mean, and I don't even want to get into the middle of the business.
No, we're not going to.
But you know, there are different nuances that go on with groups like that.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the turnover rate, people leaving, people are joining, they don't really know what it's about. And it is exhausting to constantly have to revisit that and explain that to people, but it's worthy. And this is what we're constantly telling people is we're the kiosk. We're the kiosk. Every partner is a kiosk that gets people to the on-ramp for the one-stop. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that, because there has been a lot of turnover. And I think that's where that struggle is well, how do we fit in? What do you mean? What do you do? What does adult ed? What do you mean adult ed? What does adult ed do? So it's all of those pieces that are constantly having to be revisited. And that's okay, because it makes our elevator speeches really good, right?
Right. You get lots of practice.
Lots of practice.
So I will let you answer this question just because you used PII, and just to make sure we're all on the same page. What are you referring to as PII?
Personal identification information.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. But again,
Yes,
as you
yeah.
said, we all live in the world of letters. So I want to make sure that we're all talking of the same letters.
Right. So, and we've also struggled with that because we want to put out marketing. We want to put out very strategic marketing that highlights specific people who have gone through the services. For us, it's fine. I have access to my folks and we can get a release. I can get a signed release. It's not always that easy for our partners. They have to go up the chain and they have to get this one and that one and this director and that executive director and everything else. And it's very cumbersome. So that has blocked us in some ways, but we are currently working through that. So in a way, adult ed has it a little easier, but we do the best we can. I totally didn't answer your question. Don't ever give me a form because I'll just talk.
Okay, then stop. No, I'm kidding. Christina, a question I have for you, and if anybody that's listening has questions, put those in the chat. We're happy to answer those as they come in. But Christina, how has your relationship with CTE built, improved, worked kind of over the last several years?
Okay, I can tell you when I first started looking at offering an ICAPS, it was in the healthcare field. And I went to the dean of the healthcare and was quickly told to kind of go back to your home. Just go back to your side of the campus and leave me alone. Had not a clue what we were talking about. So that's we started on ground zero, not really any interest in working with us or our students. And then as I believe part of it is because WIOA has kind of pushed the envelope to say, adult ed is worthy. You must work. I mean, Rend Lake has always been accepting of our students and have always tried to integrate them. And as we have now become, I used to refer to adult ed as the stepchild that was kept in the basement. We were brought up ever so often when they needed to show us off and then quickly sent back down to our home. But now we have a full seat at the table. They want our students involved. They want our students in CTE programs. The VP truly believes in the team teaching method and the support they get. We've looked to see if there's other ways we can integrate that into some of the more, like math and language arts programs and classes. So it has been a very good, like Gabby said, it's a natural fit. They've been very accepting. With having Gabby on board, we know every instructor is not always key on having a team teacher. But when the dean is sitting at the table and saying, yeah, we're going to try this, and she can back us up, it is more effective than me trying to approach that teacher alone. Not that we've ever had to get nasty or hateful with a teacher, but sometimes that little nudge from, you know, one of their superiors has been quite the little help. And once they get caught up and understand what it's all about, you know, I think welding and some of the more manual labor courses, maybe those teachers were a little more hesitant to have our teachers with them. But then when that student started slacking a little, guess who they called? They were calling their team teacher to say, hey, what can you do to help? So, you know, with Gabby's help in talking to those instructors and letting them know what that team teacher's there for, that has just really strengthened the bond and helped us as we progress with our ICAPS.
Thanks. So I know one of the questions is always funding. How do you pay for this? ICAPS are expensive, bridges can be expensive. How do you cover all these costs? So Christina, can you talk a little bit about how between you and CTE and WIOA, I mean, I don't need dollar amounts, but general terms of how do you divide up some of those expenses?
Honestly, the only thing adult ed pays for is our team teacher. The college pays for the traditional CTE class. The students are enrolled in regular classes with all the other students. Leigh and her team, if they are enrolled in an ICAPS program, yeah, we do require all of our students to apply for a Pell Grant or ability to benefit. And if they get that, but also Leigh comes in and the workforce board helps pay those tuition and those fees. And, you know, I'll let Leigh talk about some of the great things that they do to help students that are enrolled in our ICAPS programs. Can you fill us in, Leigh, on your?
Sure. So yes, in ICAPS, if they're enrolled with us, then we do pay tuition and fees. If they are getting a Pell Grant, then that would be refunded to them. We will use our Title I-B funds before that to pay tuition and fees. We provide gas cards depending on, and it's a weekly flat rate. They get a gas card for transportation as long as it's not a solely online program. And if it is online and they're traveling to campus to do that with a support teacher or something, that's also fine. And then we can pay books and supplies. So if it's a healthcare program and they're doing some clinicals and they need scrubs, that kind of equipment, we can pay for that as well as a supportive service. So that's kind of the supportive services that we typically pay for ICAPS. We can also do some other things when needed on kind of an emergency basis, like a car repair, if it's keeping them from finishing their program, or those kinds of things. Anything outside of that, like housing wise or things like that, we would refer to other partners.
Okay, thanks. And just to put this out there, I know that each WIOA district, is that the right word? It's not the right word. LWIB, I'm not, sorry.
LWIA, yes.
LWIA sets up their own rules about what they can or cannot pay for, what those requirements are. So again, just like Christina mentioned, if you're in a district that you haven't been very involved, you know, look for some of those inroads, possible inroads. Start small. You don't have to go in tackling the beast. Start small, build. And you know, Leah, how difficult is it to change those rules? And I'm not asking, I mean, because, and I'm only asking you this because you're in that world. Is it
right.
something that gets changed once a year and that's it? Can there be amendments made throughout the year? How does that kind of shift?
We have a local supportive services policy that we can amend throughout the year. We typically ask our workforce board to approve those types of changes. But as far as those supportive services, it is something that can change at any time. And, you know, to be fair, everybody's got a different level of funding and different ways they have to use it. So while we do dedicate a lot to supportive services, not every workforce area can. And it could become July 1st of next year that our funding level dramatically changes and we have to change the levels of support that we can provide as well. So, but it certainly, you know, those things are allowable in the law and in the state policy. So then, those are the things that we currently do.
Okay. And there was a question specifically for you, Leigh. For car repairs, is there a limit to how much a car repair would be?
Yes, we do have an annual, like a program year limit of how much we can pay for a car repair. And I believe that right now we're at $600. And that's typically reimbursement. Like they would pay, but there have been times I've got a career specialist meeting someone tomorrow to get a tire because he needs a tire and he doesn't have the funds. So she'll be there with the corporate card for that. But yeah, so it's not going to fix a transmission that's completely out or anything like that. But for a smaller car repair, we can reimburse, or sometimes we've got, you know, some real handy folks or somebody who's going to fix a car for them, and we will like reimburse for the auto parts that were purchased. In those cases, if they've, you know, if their brother's going to fix it, or they can fix it themselves. So
Thanks. So Christina, there was a question in the chat about how many students are involved in the Rend Lake ICAPS program. And I know you have several programs.
We do, and it varies like everybody else's program. We still struggle to enroll, especially right now during this time where you can work at McDonald's for $13 an hour. So why do I need to come get a GED or training? It has been a struggle, and of course, COVID set things back a little bit. So to say an average, gosh, we have 4 different approved ICAPS programs right now. And right now I have 1 student involved in 1 program. So, but you know, in years past, we've had 12 to 15 in the various programs. So, you know, we are a small program, but it is still that, I think what we struggle with is that because ICAPS sometimes goes a little slower than their traditional college courses, because we want to add that support and that GED at the beginning, they feel like they can do it faster without us. Now we have, you know, we try to stay involved in all that. So we still struggle, and I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about what our brand new plans are in Southern Illinois.
Sure.
My other team members aren't on here, but because of that situation, because of, you know, even keeping students involved for a year-long program is a struggle. Myself, along with SIC, Southeastern Illinois College, John A. Logan, Shawnee College, and Rebound, and our wonderful WIOA partners in both WIOA 25 and 26, have come together to do a regional ICAPS plan, where we're trying to put together, like our WIOA people are letting us know, these are the jobs the employers are telling us they need right now. So we're looking at what industry recognized credentials that we can get to make several put together. So I know that environmental services is big right now. Everybody's needing those hospitals cleaned, and those nursing homes and all those long-term care facilities need all that COVID cleaning. So one of our health organizations is really looking to hire. So we have found a nationally recognized certificate that we could put students through. WIOA is going to be the trainer on record. They're going to host the classes. Each adult ed program is going to provide a part of the support so that we can each count a student. We'll set up modules and let each, as the students go through, and so that we can count them not only perhaps in a GED class, but when it comes our turn, we will provide the teacher for that support class, and then we get to count them as an ICAPS student as well. Lots of details that we haven't worked out yet. We don't have the ICAPS plan written. We do have a temporary name called SI Train, which means Southern Illinois Training and Readiness Skills for a Innovative New Career. But we're excited about the possibilities. If this short-term certificate works, then we'll look to add. There's a new casino opening in the region, but in our areas, it's not unlikely for students to cross, you know, they don't know what a college district is. They're going to travel from my district to John A.'s district. They're going to travel wherever they need to get that job. And with this casino coming in, there's going to be construction jobs for a while. Then there's going to be hospitality jobs. So that may be the next certificate that we could develop. And once we've worked together on this and we have all the minute details worked out, we can resubmit that plan with a new name and a new certificate, and hopefully get these people to work in 5 to 6 weeks with some industry recognized certificates. That's our goal.
We're very excited about it. The workforce boards, both the Southern Illinois Workforce Development Board that I, in my LWIA, and then the Southern 14 board in LWIA 26 are eager to then put those students into work-based learning as they complete those ICAPS. So that we've been providing that connection with the employers and talking to them about their needs and making sure that we will have sites to place them at so that they're immediately putting the skills that they learn to work.
And have no fear, Sarah and Tara and I have already decided that if this goes well, they will be presenting at next year's Transitions Academy to inform all of you as to those minute details, how they got worked out, what they did, and what their successes were. So stay tuned for more coming. And that was all driven, I mean, programs, the ladies down there, and I say ladies because they are all ladies. I mean, I'm not leaving anyone out. Those program heads all put their heads together and went, okay, how are we going to do this? We have to figure out something different. And they came to Sarah and Tara at SIPDC and said, do you think this will work? And they went, well, I think we need to include Angela and make sure even all the way to the top, because they didn't want to spend time putting this all together if I was going to be able to go, yeah, that won't work because of this, this, and this. But we haven't found this, or that. And so they're continuing to keep their heads together and plug along. So it will go great. I have all the faith in the world in all of those ladies in that team. And like I said, we will be hearing from them in the future. Even if it's just Christina by herself, we will be hearing from that group and how they went.
It's going to work. There's too many great minds at the table.
That's right. There was one other question that came up earlier. And this maybe, I don't know if this is a Christina or a Gabby question. Do you use Perkins support for some of your ICAPS?
Yeah, of course, they've helped buy equipment if there have been programs or students that aren't eligible for WIOA dollars. Then Perkins can often buy those healthcare supplies or the welding caps or something. So that is something that Perkins, or, you know, we may be adding students to a welding lab. So maybe they need to help the welding lab buy a new simulator, or maybe they need to help the, you know, buy a new welder or something. So yeah, we work closely with Perkins as well. I think the internal supports outside of the CTE, you know, along with your student services and your financial aid and all that. Just this past year at Rend Lake, we did get a designated financial aid individual to send all of our students through. So that individual knows the special needs. You know, you may have to do a little more hand holding with an adult ed student. And we all have a advisor.
Did Christina freeze for all of you as well?
I think she did.
Okay. So we'll let her come back when she comes back. So Maggie, you've been quiet for a while. I'll let you get back on your soapbox. So what kind of internal funding are you guys using? Are you using financial aid? Are you using ability to benefit? Are you using Perkins, or what?
We have just recently started to explore ability to benefit. We're very excited about that. As I said earlier, and like Christine, we use adult ed funds for the adult ed course, but then WIOA pays for the tuition for that student. So Title I pays for that for us. But in order to do that, they have to actually apply for financial aid. So if they have access to that, then they get that as well. It's what we talked about years ago, right? So that braided funding. So we don't use Perkins, but they do have access to it through financial aid.
Okay, good. Thanks. I just, I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know where Maggie's at on all of this. So good.
Maggie's taking it all in and thinking that Christina and her team are rock stars, and I'm taking notes like, oh, I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna check that out. So I'm just an observer to all of
Oh, no.
this.
Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no. Nay, nay, I say. So are there any other questions from the field that anyone's got? So Maggie, I guess a question for you. We asked Christina how many students they are serving. Roughly how many students are you guys working with for ICAPS?
For ICAPS, it would be manufacturing. We're struggling getting manufacturing students, and I don't understand why, because it pays well. So, but we have a lot of CNA students. So I would say we probably have 8 of folks who are ramping up to CNA. So they're going through the process, the orientation. Like Christina said, it's a little more intricate, that process. So they are in the process of going through that. We are still struggling to get manufacturing students. We did run an advertising campaign recently that basically put the careers first. Hey, want to go into manufacturing but don't have an adult that you have a GED? Come see us. And that actually was very successful for a while. So I think we're going to rerun that, but that's where we stand. So I'd say maybe 8 in CNA, maybe 1 in manufacturing. We have a small program all the way around though. So.
Okay. Have you worked with very many of your manufacturing employers specifically to see if they'd be willing to make any referrals or help come do presentations in class or do any marketing for you? And we're looking for people, and you can get to us through Maggie.
Well, yeah, well, it's interesting you said that, because we actually, and when I say we, I'm talking about our my Title I partner and also our CTE partners. We went around, we called it the Road Show, and we went around to some of our municipalities that are a little farther away. So for us, it would be, we're in Kankakee, our folks in Moments, and we strategically invited HR programs, HR representatives from local businesses to an event, to a lunch, where we actually stood up and talked about what we offer. So we kind of transitioned from who we were marketing to the students to actually human resource folks, because a lot of times they just want people to skill up. And so we are trying to, we're trying to look at everything we can to help the students, the community, the businesses in the area. So I don't know if that helps, but it did in that case though.
Good. Again, it's just another idea, another way, because, traditional marketing in adult education has been, here's the flyers around the community. Well, when nobody was going anywhere, flyers were not going to work. And it's caused us to rethink a lot of things. How do we market? And if we can't get to the students, do we use our partners to do the referrals, like in Arlene's case, or with what you ladies are doing? Or are we going directly to the employers and going, hey, if you've got somebody, send us over? So, rethinking some of that is kind of what's needed at this point. Gabby, I'm going to ask you a question that's in chat, and I don't know if you can answer it or not, but because you're at Rend Lake, you are most likely, oh, Christina's back. Is the financial aid person that's dedicated for ICAPS and adult ed students, is that an adult ed person or is that a financial aid person?
That is a financial aid person.
Gabby is saved by Christina.
We did, we went through our associate vice president, and they took it and discussed it among themselves and designated who the 2 people would be in advising and financial aid.
Okay. So how hard was that sell?
We were already offering ability to benefit. So it wasn't, I had asked on my own before and hadn't got very far. But this time with the support of the upper management, then we did get that. And it seemed effortlessly. Nobody bid at anybody or anything. So I think we're okay. Good. And while this session is talking, we're talking about core partners with Title I, Title
adult ed in Title II, Title III, Title IV, you know, however we can work with those. You still have partnerships within your own agency. So whether it's at a college with your CTE or your financial aid and you're advising, or it's a CBO working with your employment department or your finance department, or a high school district that's working with, you know, who, again, similar kind of programs, your counseling department. There are internal partners that you can utilize as well. This is not a standalone effort. We got to do it as a team. So there was another, we have a very popular CNA program, but struggle to get warehousing and CNC machining students. The college CNC program does really well, though, here at SWIC in Granite City, Belleville. So, Christina, there you go. Get a hold of your SWIC people, see what's going on.
No, I was just, one of the things that we talked about at our Southern Illinois meeting the other day was to looking at our temp agencies, because often big industries like that hire through a temp agency. So if you go through the temp agency, they're surely doing some sort of screening and know what kind of background they have. Maybe they can help make those referrals and those connections with those students, especially like for us, Leigh's going to help make the connection because she already has a relationship with those people. So it's not like me going in cold and saying, hey, look, give me your people, but finding that already pre-existing relationship and trying to, hopefully, because that's what we said, we're going to have the individuals come through us. We don't know, is the casino going to hire through temp agencies? If so, we need to already have that established so that we can start pulling them in and say, look, we can train them in this, this, and this. So the same thing with your CNC machines or something. Perhaps they're hiring. I know our big manufacturer hires through a temp agency. So we're trying to get connections with them to say, look, send us your undereducated or, you know, your lower functioning employees and let us help train them before they hit your factory floor.
Good idea.
Yeah, we do have one staffing agency that does have some flyers on desks. I do need to circle back around them because we've started we used to have a trickle of people that came in through our one stop because of them. But the flyers basically are about getting a GED for free. And they have a QR code that leads to a simple intake form for our one stop. And then those referrals come to Title I-B and to our adult ed partners. And it was something that grew out of a conversation that we were having with one of the staffing agencies about people walking in the door and not having that secondary school diploma. So yeah, you know, Christina has prompted us to go back and revisit that and try to strengthen that and get in with some other staffing agencies as well to get those referrals.
Right, and this is where your team comes into play, because everybody's looking at it from a slightly different angle and has different contacts and has different purposes and different ways to go. Oh, but remember, we need to make sure we include this. Oh, hey, wait, we got to make sure this is covered too. And so, you know, while Maggie's the lone person here today representing her program, she's not the lone person doing it all. She has a team behind her that's helping her do all of these things as well. They just weren't available for today. And so again, at Rend Lake, you can see 3 of them, but it sounds like there's even more involved in the background. So again, don't feel like you have to do this by yourself. I know Sarah put in the chat that if you've got questions, you've got ideas, reach out to any of these ladies, reach out to Sarah and Tara, reach out to me. We're happy to help brainstorm any ideas. If you've got some more questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. This is our last slide. It's really simple, and we can go back to asking more questions, having more discussion. But hopefully you can take something from today back to your program and implement it. It can be teeny tiny, it can be huge, whatever it is. But hopefully this conversation has gotten you started thinking on some things. If you have questions about ICAPS, as I said, reach out to Sarah, Tara, and myself. Here's our emails. And these slides are on the web, will be, I think already are on the website. And something that's been, you know, it's the Transitions Academy. We shamelessly advertise for ourselves. The ICAPS office hours, that's something new this year that we're doing. Every other Thursday, 11 to noon, and the next one is scheduled for November 11th. I know Tara had a registration link up yesterday. I'm sure this will be mentioned more.
We just put it in the chat too.
Hey, there you go. It's in the chat. But I mean, that's what we're trying. And you've seen the brief commercial that we did for the ICAPS office hours. It really is intended to be an opportunity for you to come ask simple questions or complicated questions, or just sit and listen like Maggie claims she's doing, and take notes and see what others are doing and what you can take away from it. It, you know, there's no pressure. It's not professional development. It's just an opportunity to talk to others. And yes, November 11th is Veterans Day, and we know that, but that happens to be a Thursday. I still get to work that day. I'm not sure how many of your colleges are off or institutions are closed or not. If you are, good for you. If you're not, come join us, because I'll be there at least. Any other questions for any of this group? Any of these ladies? I appreciate all of you at Rend Lake, and I appreciate Maggie for coming in. Tina, you raised your hand. Is environmental services same as
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, good people. I just had a question. I'm curious about the environmental services training program that they are going to implement. And I just wanted to know, is that something similar to custodial engineering? Thank you.
Yes, it is. That's the term that our healthcare companies tend to use for those job titles. So I think that's why you're hearing us use that term, because they tend to call those folks environmental services at the entry level.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm so excited that you guys found because it's hard to find certifications for custodial engineers and janitors and all of that, but I'm so excited that you all found something.
And I don't care to share the link. I mean, it's a nationwide, so send me an email if you're interested. I mean, it's in a stack over here on the side of my desk, so I can't really dig it out and put it in the chat right now, but if you're interested in any of the links I found on any of the nationally recognized certificates, I'd be happy to share what I found or provide them to Sarah, who can post them somewhere.
Sounds great. I'll put my email in the chat. Thank you, ladies. Awesome job.
Thank you, Tina. And now everybody is going to want your email, Christina. They all want to know what the certification thing is. Which is, I mean, again, that's part of what today is, and yesterday and today, sharing information. Christina can just be on everybody's team. It'll be fine. She has time. She just sits around doing nothing, waiting for me to call her and say, hey, will you do another presentation?
Christina,
she's a good team leader.
Yeah, let me swoop in and help you, Christina. So we so appreciate that you're sharing with everybody. And but one of the things that we really like to do is capture these great practices and put them on the ICAPS website. And the ICAPS website is a wonderful place to provide examples. So Christina, I'll be reaching out to you to capture that and make sure that that is included on the ICAPS website.
Good, because there's lots of email addresses coming in here.
Oh, and I would say also for everybody who's putting your email in there, I'm gonna stick up for Christina one more time and say, send Christina an email and ask her for that, because I know whenever she's got a lot of things happening right now, and I'm sure she wants to fulfill everyone's requests. So help her out by making it easy to do that.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, because once this little box goes away, I don't know how to find it again.
Do I need to put Christina's email back up on the screen in big bold letters? No, I'm kidding.
Go for it.
I'll put Maggie's right below it. I'll put Christina's and Maggie's. Maggie says, no, no.
Yeah, either
Can
that or
have
Christina
my
can
deal
choose.
too, so.
I'm always available. I'm just teasing.
Oh, sure. Now she's got to cover herself.
Of course I do. Don't be ridiculous.
No, this is a great group of people. If you've got questions, again, look at the slides, get their email. Just send them questions. How are you doing this? What are you doing about that? You mentioned this, but I don't know what that is. You know, just like Tina's question is, so I've heard it called this, but you're calling it that. You know, it could be the particular provider of the credential that changes the name, so it's a different name. It could be the difference between Chicago and Southern Illinois. Who knows what it is. And, you know, it's the same way with CNA. Some places it's a certified nurse assistant. Sometimes it's a basic nurse assistant. Some of those are considered the same. Some places those are considered very different. So again, if you've got questions, they agreed to do this because they know that they've got information that they can share. And I so appreciate them being able to do this and being willing to work with me and be on this panel. This is Rend Lake's second time on the panel, Maggie's first. You may see a similar conversation happening next week. I cannot believe next week is ICCA conference, but we will be there and some different information. So if you're there, look us up. But otherwise, I'm checking the chat one more time. So Sarah, I guess I'm turning this back over to you or Amy or whoever wants to.
Tara's going to wrap us up here.
Excellent, thanks.
So much to everyone for a wonderful morning session. Thank you to all of our presenters. We have